Have you ever caught yourself staring at the calendar, heart sinking as it flips past 80, whispering that the best parts are already dust? What if I told you that's the biggest lie we tell ourselves? One that turns golden years into gray shadows, loaded with if-onlys that echo louder than laughter ever did. Picture this: a life where every dawn feels like a quiet victory, not a fading echo. Turns out, the difference isn't luck or genes. It's 5 fiercely guarded moves, pulled from the raw edges of real lives, that flip regret on its head. These aren't fluffy platitudes. They're battle-tested edges that have pulled folks from the brink of isolation into bursts of unexpected fire. Stick with me, because by the end, you'll spot the exact pivot that could rewrite your next decade. No fluff, just the sparks that ignite late chapters most never see coming. Ready to uncover what they've been hiding? Let's slip into the first one, the quiet revolution that starts it all. Imagine spending 50 years as the family's anchor, meals on the table, crises smoothed over, dreams deferred for everyone else's sail. Then 80 hits, and suddenly, that role feels like a chain you forged yourself. Here's the twist no one warns you about. The fastest path to a hollow ache isn't losing mobility or friends. It's finally admitting you've been last on your own list for too damn long. Science whispers it too. A deep dive into thousands of elders shows those who flip the script on self-care slash their loneliness risk by nearly half, trading silent suffering for days that hum with quiet worth. Take Eleanor, 83 now, who after decades nursing her ailing sister, woke one morning to an empty house and a mirror reflecting someone she'd forgotten, herself. No dramatic exit, just a deliberate yes to the small rebellions. She started with mornings claimed as hers, brewing that strong black tea she craved, no sugar to please anyone else, then easing into a sun-warmed chair with a dog-eared romance novel, pages yellowed from years of later. Afternoons, she bartered her guilt for garden gloves, coaxing roses from soil that mirrored her own stubborn bloom. Doctor visits morphed from dread to defiance. She'd march in, clipboard in hand, demanding answers on that nagging knee not as a burden, but as the vessel carrying her forward. It wasn't vanity. It was vengeance against the years she'd poured out without a drop left for her cup. And the ripple? Her daughter noticed first, eyes widening at this woman who laughed freer, moved lighter, like she'd shed an invisible weight. Eleanor's secret? Permission. Not the loud kind, but the kind that sneaks in with each no to draining favors, each yes to a midday nap when bones begged for mercy. Picture your own version, swapping obligatory calls for a solo stroll under leaves turning crimson, or savoring a forbidden slice of pie without the side eye of scales. These aren't indulgences. They're the mortar holding your later days upright. Studies from longevity labs echo it. Regular movement, even chair yoga twisting like whispers, keeps joints whispering back instead of screaming, while nutrient-packed by its fuel not just bodies, but that inner glow dimmed by decades of duty. Feel that pull yet? The one urging you to step center stage? It's not selfish. It's the foundation every thriving elder builds first. But hold that energy close, because what comes next? It's the spark that turns safe harbors into wild seas, pulling you toward horizons you swore were long gone. Ever notice how routines, those cozy blankets we wrap around ourselves, can quietly choke the air out of adventure? By 80, it's easy to let the world shrink to the arm of your favorite chair, convinced the map's all marked and the thrills for kids with unscarred knees. Yet here's the gut-punch truth, that narrowing isn't age, it's choice, and it feeds a boredom so deep it masquerades as peace until one day, you wake up wondering where the color went. Harvard's marathon study on what makes lives sing nails it. Folks who chase fresh winds, even breezes, keep their wits twice as sharp, minds dancing like they did at 50. Enter Harold, 81, a retired mechanic whose hands, calloused from engines, itched for something softer. He'd eyed the community pottery wheel for years, dismissing it as folly for old bones like mine. But one drizzly Tuesday, curiosity won. He shuffled in, clay cool and yielding under fingers that once wrestled steel. First pots, lopsided disasters that cracked in the kiln, drawing chuckles from the circle of gray heads around him. Yet those mishaps, they lit him up, pulling stories from his throat about botched carburetors and midnight fixes that bonded strangers faster than shared blood ever could. By month's end, Harold's shelves groaned with wonky mugs, each a badge of why not now. He traded shop talk for glazed techniques, his garage echoing less with grease and more with the clink of teacups over late afternoon chats. It wasn't about masterpieces, it was reclaiming the unknown, that electric hum of possibility that keeps hearts from flatlining into sameness. Think of your own Uncharted, a ukulele's strings plucked in the quiet of evening, notes fumbling into folksy tunes that surprise even you, or a virtual tour of fjords in Norway, pixels painting escapes no passport demands. No need for marathons. Try a podcast on quantum quirks that bends your brain in delightful knots, or coax a neighbor's cat onto your lap. It's pura vibration syncing with your own forgotten rhythm. The payoff? Brains wired for wonder fend off fog. Per neurolabs tracking elders who swap sofas for sketchpads, their recall blooming like spring after frost. And the bonds? They sprout wild. Harold's pottery crew became his counsel, trading not just tips, but confessions over cooling coffee. It's intoxicating, this refusal to fossilize, turning too late into just in time. But as those doors creak open, a deeper layer waits, the courage to let the mask slip, revealing cracks that let light and real magic in. What if the heaviest burdens after 80 aren't creaky joints or thinning hair, but the unspoken storms raging just beneath your smile? Society peddles this myth that wisdom means stoic silence, swallowing grief like it's yesterday's news. But that's the velvet trap. Bury those truths, and they fester into regrets sharper than any fall. Fresh psych scans reveal the edge. Elders who voice their vulnerabilities slice anxiety in half, forging resilience from what others deem wreckage. Meet Clara, 84, whose laugh once masked a chasm torn open by her son's sudden absence across oceans, letters few and calls fizzling into static. For months, she'd gnawed through visits, plating cookies with steady hands while inside, waves crashed unchecked. The break came unannounced, a rainy vigil by the window, tears tracing paths she'd damned for decades. No fanfare. She dialed her sister, voice cracking on, "I miss him fierce," like a piece of me wandered off. That spill, it unlocked a torrent, not of pity, but presence, sibling stories swapped late into night, unraveling threads of their own hidden hurts. Clara's world expanded not in miles, but in honesty. She joined a circle of widows trading not recipes, but raw reckonings, where "I'm frayed today" met with nods, not fixes. It reshaped her. Mornings now start with a journal scrawl, inked admissions like "the quiet bites harder some dawns," turning solitary gales into navigable winds. Science nods along. Gratitude blooms brighter when paired with this unfiltered flow, per surveys of 80-plus souls who report joy spiking as they trade pretense for pulse. Imagine it for you, whispering doubts to a mirror first, then a trusted ear, or belting a sob song in the shower till it echoes back lighter. No grand therapy suites needed. A heartfelt "this weighs on me" over fence chats can crack isolation's shell, inviting echoes that affirm you're not adrift. And the freedom? It's intoxicating, shedding the armor of fine for skin that breathes, scars and all. Clara swears it rewired her regrets, not erasing them, but framing them as maps to deeper harbors. Yet even as words bridge your inner divides, the real alchemy brews in the people you draw close, turning solo echoes into symphonies that linger long after lights dim. Loneliness after 80? It's sold as inevitable, like frost on autumn windows. But what if it's the grandest con, one you can dismantle thread by thread? That 80-year Harvard Odyssey spells it plain. Ties that touch the soul don't just soothe. They stack extra sunsets on your ledger, outpacing pills or potions every time. Dive into Lena's tale, 86, a former librarian whose shelves once overflowed with worlds, but whose real volumes, friends, kin, dwindled to echoes after moves and losses chipped away. She could have curled inward, letting silence be her companion, but instead, she bet on outreach, a weekly scribble to a distant niece, postcards inked with queries like, "What's the wildest dream chasing you lately?" Those notes. They boomeranged, pulling tales of toddler triumphs and career leaps that lit Lena's evenings like fireflies. Emboldened, she ventured to the corner cafe Snitters, needles clicking like Morse code for "Join Us." Awkward at first, fingers fumbling yarn, stories stumbling, but soon, scarves tangled with confessions, her quiet wisdom weaving her into the warp. One knitter, battling her own voids, confessed over dropped stitches, "You're the thread I didn't know I needed." It's this depth that defies the drift. Labs tracking 80-plus circles find those investing in two-way bonds, listening fierce, sharing slices of self. Harvest happiness rates 30% above the aloof. Envision your weave, reviving a lapsed bridge with a voice note recounting that 72 blizzard mishap, laughter thawing miles, or volunteering tales at the shelter, where a stray's grateful nudge mirrors your own mended gaps. No crowds required. One profound exchange, a porch confab on stars' secrets, or a shared silence watching rain etch patterns, can anchor you firmer than fleets. Lena's circle? It ballooned, not to bustle, but to ballast, potlucks pulsing with past plates and pilfered laughs, her home humming where once it hushed. The shock? These links don't demand perfection. They thrive on presence, a timely, "I've got you," outshining grand gestures. In a world that fades connections like old film, choosing to tend yours is the boldest bid against oblivion. But as those roots dig deep, imagine amplifying them with a lens that spots gold in the grit. What if every breath held a buried thank you, ready to unearth joy you never clocked? Regret's cruelest trick post. 80 is fixating on fractures, the loves lost, paths unpicked, until the whole tapestry blurs to gray. But flip that gaze, and a stealthy force emerges. Gratitude, not as rote chant, but as a hunter's eye, spotting treasures in the underbrush of ordinary. Longevity sages confirm it. Daily nods to the now pump endorphins like youth's wild rush, fortifying hearts against the chill of what was. Recall Theo, 82, a shipyard vet whose decks once teemed with mates, now echoing with widowhood's hollow after his bride of 60 years slipped anchor at dawn. Mornings mauled him, coffee bitter as the blame he heaped on fate's foul hand. Then, a whim, a battered notebook, 3 lines nightly for what held steady today. Entries started sparse. Sun pierced the blinds just so, neighbor's wave lingered warm, but snowballed, unearthing gems like the robin's trill sinking his pulse, or a library tome's twist that yanked a guffaw from his gut. By spring, Theo's scrawl spanned shelves, a private archive proving abundance outweighed absence. He'd share snippets at the dockside bench, drawing vets with their own tallies. That first sip of broth after the storm. One grunted, eyes misting not with loss, but light. Research rides shotgun. Psych probes on 80-plus practitioners show immune boosts rivaling vaccines. Mood soaring as brains rewire to harvest highs over hurts. Craft yours intimate. A bedside murmur for the quilt's familiar heft, or a dusk walk tallying fireflies' fleeting dance. Each flicker a fend against fate. No denial of dings. Aches throb, memories sting, but gratitude gilds them, whispering, and yet, this too endures. Theo's shift? He hosted grit suppers, elders swapping not woes, but wins. The mechanic's mended fence symbolizing patched souls, the baker's risen loaf mirroring spirit's quiet climbs. It spread, a subtle insurgency against sourness, turning gatherings into galleries of grace. The mystery deepens. Why does this quiet hunt yield such roar? Because it recasts you as curator, not casualty, sifting life's silt for the shine that sustains. Feel that subtle surge, the one hinting your story's far from scrawled. It's the thread binding these secrets, a call to wield them before another dawn dissolves unmarked. As the echoes of these 5 secrets settle, the fierce claim on your well-being, the thrill of uncharted trails, the raw release of shadowed truths, the deliberate weave of souls that steady you, and the hunter's grace that gleams through grit, pause and let them pierce. Which one snags your breath? That hidden hook in your own unfolding tale? Maybe it's the permission to pause for your own pulse, or the dare to doodle dreams deferred, whispering that 80 isn't endpoint, but launchpad veiled in years patina. Elders who've danced this edge swear it. Regrets don't define the dusk. They dissolve when you grip these levers, crafting chapters rich with rogue laughs and reclaimed fire. Science seals the pact. Harvard's decades-long gaze finds those who nurture these flames not just linger, but blaze, outpacing peers in vigor and vibe by years untold. Yet the real jolt? Ignoring them risks a finale scripted by silence, could-haves curdling into echoes you can't unhear. You're no spectator here. Every breath bids you to blend these into your rhythm, starting with one whisper today, a walk unchained, a call unfiltered, a thanks unprompted. What if this moment marks your pivot, the one where later yields to now? Unearthing a legacy luminous enough to light paths you never mapped. Drop your spark below. Which secret stirs you deepest? And how will you unleash it before weeks weave? Your voice fuels this fire. Hit that like if it landed. Subscribe for more unvarnished edges on Thriving Untethered. Bell on to catch the next whisper. You've got the map. Now chase the horizon that calls your name. See you there, where the best surprises wait.